Good morning, and thank you for keeping it with us on UBC TV. It is exactly 5 minutes from the top of the hour, that is 8 a.m. I don't know where you are, but I'm glad and happy that you're watching UBC TV. But just to remind you, in case you have a smartphone or internet, that wherever you are, you can still watch this show on our various social media platforms, mostly on YouTube. So you shouldn't miss any beat, any segment. In case you did, you can rewind, you can forward on YouTube. Now this morning, I'm happy because I'm hosting student leaders, that is from the Uganda National Students Association, UNSA, with whom we are going to be discussing the impact of politics in academic institutions. Now we know academic institutions groom leaders, and that is okay with it. But to what extent, or what good has politics done, what bad has politics done? Should we continue exercising open politics in these institutions? With the background of what happened in Makerere University when we saw campaigns for the 8th Guild President elections, where these were suspended after a student, that is of Uganda Christian University Kampala branch, was stabbed, and that led to his death. So we want to analyze why are things turning out this way. Some of these campaigns have been bloody. People arrested, people attacking each other, but these are students and higher institutions of learning. And joining me on set this morning, I have Philomena Asimwe, who is the National Affairs Secretary, UNSA. You're most welcome.
Thank you so much.
And on the extreme end, I have yet another gentleman, that is Okwiri Brian, Secretary for Finance, UNSA. Oh, the man in charge of money. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. The name is Okori. You say Okwiri.
Okori. Okay. Thanks for being part of this show. Now, so I'll begin with Philomena. I know UNSA is non-partisan.
True.
And it's supposed to be that even when you're campaigning, we don't have this is for NRM, this is for NOP. Politics is not at play there. Though, of course, people will know that this is for this and that, and maybe sometimes we are told, somehow, somewhere, parties show interest because this is a big organization. But let's look at politics from your own perspective. I don't know if you were once a leader away from UNSA, you know, in these higher institutions. I just want to begin with that. Guild representative, GRC? Or?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Robert. Have been any other kind of leader in other clusters. So to answer your question, yes, I have been.
Okay, and was this based on political parties, or even there it was like UNSA?
It was an open platform whereby if one wanted would go in for the party, or if one chose would be independent. Yeah, so it was an open thing. It was not like for UNSA where strictly you were supposed to be non-partisan.
Okay, Brian, have you?
Yeah, I've ran for Guild President before during my diploma studies. I would not want to say that yes, political parties have been in institutions of learning because they have been illegal. Even if you contested with DP per se, your ballot paper would come with Okori Brian, your course, period. So saying yes, it is just, I think it is just out there where people just affiliate themselves and to try to lure support. But yes, for me, I've run before, and yeah, by then we were having an independent movement that was called People Power, so all of us affiliated to it. It wasn't a political party by then. Yes.
Very interesting. I can see indeed these are politicians. You just know at the beginning of the interview how they are trying. Now by then we had, was everyone in People Power? Definitely not. But I'll go back to Philomena. Of late we are seeing the more we grow in multi-party dispensation, the more political parties are gaining grip of every opportunity. And among the areas is high institutions of learning, because they know that the youth, almost 80% of our population is youth, so you need them. They will look for you, or you run for them, you run to them. When we see political parties, people contesting in institutions, much as Brian may say the ballot paper does not have your political party, but campaigns, you see posters. In some universities, they have party symbols. Some of them, you see even hierarchy coming in to support, financing some of these activities in these elections. Should we allow this in learning institutions, or should we go neutral?
Okay, thank you. Historically, it's been recorded that any person has the right to affiliate themselves with any political parties. And when it comes to institutions, these guild elections, they are based on, for example, a case in Chambo University. Maybe for one to garner support, they must attach themselves to maybe faculties. In Makerere, they are schools. So whereas it is that in Makerere, I mean in Chambo University, in Makerere, people can look at halls of attachments, the halls of residence. Others base themselves on parties, like of the recent you saw in Makerere. Though several debates are still ongoing. Is it the political parties? Is it the halls of residence? Is it the courses people belong to? So really, I want to say that the political parties in these institutions of higher learning, it's still another thing to really debate about. Looking at now, it has taken another level. Even our young people, maybe even primary level, you have seen posters come up because they want to affiliate themselves with political parties. I think an extent to which these are, now it is actually top to bottom. It's supposed to be bottom to top. So when you see these other people come in to make their influence in these institutions of higher learning, it's because they are looking at these areas at the source of mobilization. But the question in point should actually be, to what extent should this external influence be in these institutions of higher learning? Maybe an issue to do with the supporting their own candidate. I'm aware they are supposed to be nomination fees. So in this case point, if nomination fees maybe they are also high, can you try to look and devise that in such cases? Look at the point whereby in the national politics, we have seen these many students' movements in universities. Historically, they have been the breeding grounds, the nursery beds for the national politics. You have seen people in the parliament who have been part of the guild elections, which perhaps they themselves at time T belong to those political parties. The influence of political parties, I think, it has done its part, but the point on how they should, to what extent they must involve themselves in the university politics, institutional politics, is what we're supposed to discuss.
Now this is where I want to bring in Brian. Brian, Havashimana talks about what extent. I know of universities, like Uganda Christian University, it is different. IIU different. Chambogo a bit liberal. Makere extreme blast. So to what extent should we regulate this?
The extent can be discussed, yes. But you know, before even we discuss on whether they should be there or no, what role do they play? He has tried to answer part of the roles they play. Secondly, you know, the mother constitution allows affiliation. So is it illegal to affiliate to it? Maybe, and the same constitution says it is supreme over every constitution. The extent should be that, you know, that political parties have a role of linking the general public or awakening them about government policies. And that's why you see some say, listen, you're supposed to be having freedom of speaking every day. You can't speak every day. It's your mandate, so I'm awakening you. Government had this policy at one time. So are they doing the same in institutions of learning? I want to bring to your notice that when you go and get this kind of contested political parties, none of them, or a few of them, have these party cards. And if they have, then and a few of them are recognized by the parties. You know that today, let's say it's NRM today, when he goes to Chambogo and realizes that NRM can't win here, he will wave people power or NUP, because the interest is to win the election. And the moment Ugandans and the students at large narrow themselves to how fast they win the election, not basing on what ideology. Because if you say that you are NRM per se, and your ideology is for patriotism, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic development, and you're not standing for them, even during your guild campaigns, then whom are you standing for? So the extent should be that to a very high extent, we expect that the candidates spearhead ideology based on what they want to do. for the students. The political parties can only come in play maybe to help, because this is also a form of mobilization. They have that role to mobilize Ugandans, but I think they've not done any big job for now. That's why you still have a low voter turn-up. If the political parties had moved so much into the public, would have a high voter turn-up. You know that every time the voter register has 15 million people, less than 7 million people turn up. Meaning you cannot block them from accessing these masses. Some of these people come from secondary schools and they have nothing. They know about what constitution looks like, anything like that. So if any people is saying, listen, this is your constitution, read it, very good. But if it is saying collect yourselves and gang against this, that is wrong. If I'm seeing Kizabes, they may be coming to campaign for the candidate, that's again to another extent. Allow them compete with the 8 ideas they have to win an election. So the issue is that external involvement should be low. Then allow the young people battle with ideas, but also you can also chip in to help push your general idea of the party, because yours is to mobilize and to win an election.
Very interesting. Hafashimana rightly said that what is happening is we should limit external involvement. It should be, I want to use that word, maybe regulated. That these are do's, these are don'ts. But let's also look at the youth and their perception or understanding of politics. More so multi-party politics. Because that is where we are now through our referendum. When you look at universities, there's a lot of excitement. He talked about ideology, he talked about this being breeding grounds, but what is your knowledge? What is their knowledge of what they're involving themselves? Is it just a semblance? Is it just clinging on something? Or do we see these young people in universities very keen to understand the politics? When you read some of the leaders we have today, they'll tell you their political career began at university. They were university friends and they chose to take some path because of what they commonly believed in. So let's go back to today's youth. Is it excitement? Is it about money? Or is it ideological indoctrination and understanding?
The point of contention has been just because we have just seen somebody being stabbed to death in Makerere. That means today's politics in institutions of higher learning is based at politics of violence and politics of compromise. And whereby the other day when I was there, he said that where purpose isn't known, abuse is then inevitable, and that's what we have seen. So there is no wonder why political parties in the country are inevitably involving themselves into these university politics. Looking at the point whereby us as UNSA would want to condemn such kind of evil acts within the guild elections, maybe we could want to encourage politics of ideology, like my colleague just said. We can look at politics of decorum. Can we come to a consensus and we agree? What does person have? The other time when I was also being interviewed, I was asked, but to what extent should this be realistic? And I said that, can we look at what does the person benefit from being attached to a political party? Perhaps in Makerere we have seen people being attached to NRM, being attached to NUP and FDs and other political parties. Now, the issue of these other people coming in to make their own influence, we are trying to say maybe it is simply an issue to do with mobilizing countrywide. And like I just said, what must be the students' stand in all this? Can we look at a person who actually fronts an ideology rather than a party itself? Though aware that these political parties, they also have their ideologies. Looking at NRM maybe an issue to do with socio-economic transformation. We have had government programs, maybe the current ongoing, the PDM, the parish development model. Maybe to what extent should actually this political party use its platform in universities to actually reach this information to the students? That is one way, that's maybe. Secondly, you see each and every time an election happens, like in Chambogo, Makerere, KIU, immediately after 2 weeks after elections, the other group starts to campaign. Just because maybe the term limit for these people, for the guild president, is simply 1 year. Looking at the whole chairpersons of these universities, it is the similar time frame. So if at all maybe the university with the guild representatives can also see, can only the term of the guild president be extended to 2 years? Because the reason as to why, in my own opinion, why this thing is happening, it's because the thing is too short. And by the time the person is coming to actually do and go and do whatever they promised their electors, the students, the time is going to erupt when these people have done almost nothing to a half. That is my stand. So can there be a revision whereby the term for the good president only maybe can be extended to 2 years, such that these people who, if every after time the election is done, the next 2 weeks after the election they are going to mobilize for the next what? So I think these are some of the things that are going to stop the kind of violence, and I'm trying to give a stand whereby the students should actually understand and see their voice coming up.
Well, allow me pass the same question. That was very relevant information, I must say, but there's an answer I need, and I think maybe Brian will give me this. All said, what is your analysis of the understanding of multiple dispensation at university? Because when you're ignorant, can we take it for granted that, well, every Ugandan above 18 fine is a voter, and people at university are voters, you know, and they are voting under multi-party dispensation? So you want to assume, or should we really assume that by the time someone is at university, you know, maybe first year or whatever, they have an understanding of politics under multi-party dispensation? Or is it all, it's a do or die? You know, we must get there. We must win. They don't know what they are standing for. They can be exploited by these political, because most of the times we've had some demonstrations and people are saying no. Those university kids, or students, are being used by politicians. So and so said we want this, and Makeda has started, Chambog has started. And when you look at the issue, it doesn't concern, maybe it concerns everybody because it could be a national issue. But for the students, and one asks, but if you came to study, this is being done for you, where do you pick interest? True, they are being exploited. So your assessment as a student's leader, what is their understanding?
I think I'm going to still state it clear that if you're not a minor, then you can affiliate. That means you are 18 and above. It's unfortunate even these days you can get 17-year-old per campus, depending on how they've studied so fast. I want to put it on record that even when you're 8 years, you can be a student. Every day you keep learning and learning and relearning. So we don't want to narrow this thing to that young person who has left high school and is in school, 18 years, affiliates to a party, and so doesn't know the real understanding of what the party means. Maybe these political leaders are in schools. In Chambog, you'd get members of parliament coming to class to attend schools with other people. What if they're mobilizing through those structures as well? I think understanding multi-party politics is one thing. The ideology there is another thing. Ugandans have a role to really awaken as a whole, to know that the parties are there, what do they stand for, and what are their principles. There's a time when Kizza Besigye was contesting, I think 2016, 2011, he was saying, mine is to awaken you, to give you the information. Even if you don't win, we have no issue. But so long as I give you the information. Or when Museveni is on a trail, he says, we must win. So one is ideology is, it's a do or die, we have to win. Another is, let's send the message. Lately, you've seen Ant doing the same. Mugisha Moto says, we are to build the structures. Let's go down to everybody. Let's awaken the masses. You have you ever seen them on the presidential card ticket? No. They'll say, let's form an alliance to back on some people. So at the end of the day, what every party stands for, people don't know. Others think we are here to go and win an election, when the real party authors are saying, no, let's participate, let's awaken the masses. So the ideology is that, one, I keep on saying that they're illegal institutions of learning, because even the guild constitutions do not accommodate them. But because, yes, you might say the mother constitution is prim, and you want to affiliate by force, but if even after you've affiliated yourself, you are not freely allowed to wake up and say, now for me, I am FDC, you must put me on the ballot as FDC. You will campaign your campaigns and come back as a very independent person at the end of the day. Of course, when you win, you're the guild president of everybody. I want to run away from his argument that you need 2 years to do anything. What's the role of a guild president? It's basically advocacy. You're supposed to build roads in the school. No. You are to say this is wrong in this way and this time. So the 1 year is enough. It is basically ideological training. And that's why a government should invest a lot of its time in public civic awareness, to inform you that whether you change eight governments, when this is not done, then this will never be done. So me, the issue of multi-party dispensation is good because it allows different ideas come on board, of course. When NUP is saying this should be done this way, and today the other one is saying this should be done the other way, it helps grow on government policies. Same there. If you attend a JRC sitting, you'd see saying, me, I'm leader of opposition. You get someone like, I'm leader of opposition. That's the government. We're not in the government. When you listen to the debate, you'll see that, yeah, maturity is coming out. Of course, we did condemn the death of the student, I think. I want to say it was very bad. But again, you had that the dissolve of the guild government of Makerere. Get out of office, and so you have no guild leadership. But it is also by an act of parliament that they are there. So they also have a role they play in this entire thing, and that's why management of Makerere University should take it very serious to reinstate these people back, to give the small ideas on how the university should be run. If you can accommodate alumni, what about those who are currently in the institution of learning? In Makerere, why these things are happening and why we're discussing it is because the halls are very cruel. They have guard brigades in halls. And they believe that soldiers in their own perspective. But history, when you look at the history back then, even the soldiers and generals in government today were heads of brigades in Makerere. There's a time where Tumino was the head of a brigade, Sejusa was the head of a brigade. They clashed for so long. You never know now, they also became generals. So, you might say brigades are bad, but if it nurtured these ones to become generals, so everything has a positive and a negative.
Well, Brian, you're very interesting, and I think I'm enjoying every bit of what you're saying, more regarding the issues of politics in academic institutions. Now, this brings me back to UNSA, your students' body. And of course, your leadership is based on the democratic principles, because you're elected into office. You're not appointed, and you have that fairly grassroots approach. So, what have you done as a student's body in far as nurturing, in far as ensuring that we move away from violence? Because day by day our politics seems to be taking a new trend. People are adopting more of a political style that is seemingly more violent than a political style that is more of liberal and actually more of a negotiation. What are you doing as a body, students' body?
Like he just put it, I want to reopen it, and I say that by the virtue of the Constitution, it says that, and it states that, and thereafter there shall be a University and Other Tertiary Institutions Act, whereby in section 38, subsection 1L, it states that there shall be those guild councils, and that means that every time the guild is electing, after they have elected, the guild council sits and gets 2 people to represent the university students' interest in the university council. And that means in every tertiary institutions and universities, there are those 2 people who represent students' views in the university council. Now from UNSA, those 2 people, they are representing UNSA. And our issue now is to see, are actually these people doing what they're supposed to do? Is advocacy being done? Looking at the case in Makerere whereby they suspended the EC, there are no any other campaigns as of now. There is no guild leaders. There are no guild leaders who are now doing their work. That means UNSA is not represented there. They have actually put away what the Constitution states, and the students are now who is representing actually the students in the university council. That means as UNSA, when we see this and we keep silent, that means our law is not being felt there. And our issue is now to actually ask the university administrators, what have they done? Is it right in order that actually these people, or there should not be the guild standing committees? The halls of residence, the chairpersons are also not working. So who is now taking the role in leading these people? We are trying to look at the effects of all of these political parties, but we're actually forgetting to look at the cause. We are only trying to see, can we seek solutions? Like he said, he's not in the idea of extending the 1 term for only good presidents. That is the root cause. And now, whereas we are trying to focus ourselves at looking at the effects, are we actually trying to look at the original and maybe the immediate solution to the major problem of this problem.
How could a short term be related to violence during an election?
Oh, thank you so much. I said, I want to remind you, because each and every time people have voted, immediately 2 weeks after voting, the other group still come back to start the strategies and the campaign. So in that way, as they're doing that, it is almost going to lead to and cause platforms for these people to start violence. That's why you have seen maybe people a certain group of people is hungry, maybe other political parties are also hungry to ensure that their own person to be coming must have the energy. Mobilization begins there and
because
then.
I would think if it's a short term, then you know if we've not made it, very soon we'll take power. Let's position ourselves very well. If it's longer, then your hopes are a bit far.
I think that's not the issue. The issue is, let me make this clear now for once. Assuming you are voted as a guilty president and you have lost, on I don't know which ticket you belong to.
That means I wasn't elected.
That means you weren't elected. But because of your party, maybe you failed because you were attached to a certain party or even independent. But because we have people who we worked with, assuming you're in the second year, but those in the first year. So those in the first year, when it reaches their time for second year, they have to launch. Brother, you come. Can we strategize? You lost the other time. What can we do? They begin cooking the idea on how next they can do what? They can take over leadership. So the issue of the 2-year term from a 1-year term, it's because it takes a little longer for this people to actually plan. Of course, every plan, like he said, it has the good bit of it and the negative part of it. So the issue of extending the term for only guilty presidents is to reduce all that internal incoherence activities within the institutions. I think by that we need to understand now.
Brian.
Yes.
Well, Philomena has his explanation, and I leave that to the viewers. But in your opinion, what do you think would be the causes of this violence?
I think everything he has said, nothing relates to the issues that cause violence, whether long term, whether you've lost. I think the issue here is the ideology is one. When you go to an election, you know whether you're going to win or lose. So he who comes back with violence is only not ideologically straight. But I've not seen it happen post-election either way. You know, in university politics, you are 1 year to go. You are contesting in 3rd year, as this one is serving in 4th year, you're leaving. Or you're in 2nd year, in the 3rd year, you're leaving. Unless you're going to come back and be sitting around to wait to beat people because you lost. But you cannot do that as well. The issue is not the short term of office. The issue is the high frustration within the students. They feel if I voted this party, my problems will be solved at every level. Maybe as this man of people power is campaigning, is saying, vote me today, tomorrow you're not paying tuition. And the mind is lowered there that, okay, if you don't vote this person by all means, then tuition is not going to go away. But do you think that is applicable? No, so I think the issue is say no to violence. But who are these people who cause this violence? Is it the political party or it is just greed within individuals? Like for Makerere, the violence is situated within the halls of residence. They have guard brigades that keep fighting against each other to show power. In Chambogo University, I don't see those guard brigades in play. Do we say that violence when FDC and NUP can't meet, do they fight so hard? No, so I think the violence talk is clear the student's mind to know that a guild president cannot do so much. Even if you voted him, he cannot do the 1,000 things he's telling him within 1 year. The best he can do is do the advocacy bit and leave others for others to carry on from there. The best leader leaves the handover report and other carries on from there. So issues of increase the term of office, that's not applicable. It is not even supposed to be talked about. Same to Unsa, we are here for a year. Should we also say we should do another term of office? Now ask him, why in Unsa after people losing, nobody fights? There's no violence. People who lost against you went home and are now clapping for you as was on TV. It means that the ideology in there is that when I lose, I go home and try again. Many have lost. Even Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has lost elections before, but is president of Uganda now. So the moment we talk to them in this direction, and most people don't understand the politics they're going into. You're going to a political party, you don't know the ideology. So at the end of the day, you are just, we go. And also drug abuse is there, alcohol is there. So when these people take the alcohol and drugs, they start seeing 8 people in one. So we should tackle that issue of like the psychosocial support. You might be saying it's the political party, yet it's a group of people who took a lot of alcohol and don't want to see anybody good in front of them. So it's a long discussion. But as you know, violence is everywhere in this country. We can call it violence or no. Sometimes it's frustration. Lately, so students marched parliament saying the prices are very high. Maybe one woke up and said, now I have nothing to eat. I've slept hungry for 2 days. Let me go and move. Whether they arrest me, they should arrest me. It is frustration. So we need to talk to them, exactly. Otherwise, this talk won't end.
I find Brian very interesting. And I'm enjoying your submission, as well as Philomena. These are student leaders, and under their national unifying body, that is UNSA, Uganda National Students Association. That is in place by an act of parliament, and I love that they have structures right from grassroots. So they usher these people into politics. You come through stairs until you get to the national level. And I want to say, for a long time, I think they have done really a tremendous job in terms of how they pass over leadership. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Because we know this is a stage of very energetic people. The youth, usually people say, they first apply muscles before they go upstairs. But I think when we see how you've been handling your politics and transitions, it's a sign of maturity. Now, Philomena rightly said that there are issues that must be addressed in universities. That we may blame political parties, but actually they may not be political parties. There could be other underlying factors. Apart from shortage of period of term, which of course Brian doesn't agree with, what are some of those that you feel need immediate address so that we have smooth political campaigns, smooth transition of leadership in these higher institutions of learning? Because it seems over time the trend is changing.
I want to first disagree from what you people just said. For over 88 years ago, now that we have just seen 88th Girudi campaign in Makerere, you trying now that you are saying that the issue of timing is not the issue of the cause to violence. So if we say ideology is okay, it is good, dialoguing is okay, getting influential speakers to come and speak to the students is a very good idea. So for how many years will this go on? Can we try to look at plan B if A is not working out? That aside, to what you just asked the question, can UNSA be a guideline to our students on what next? Did I quote you right?
Looking at how you move your leadership, then also other underlying factors that you feel must be addressed.
Thank you so much. I already mentioned about one that must be addressed. An issue of suspending the Girudi leadership in Makerere was not the best solution to the problem. Already the person had already gone, may his soul rest in peace, but the issue is now what next. By the way, any other person might think maybe that was the only hope for this to happen. I mean, why would this happen and then have to close and suspend the Girudi leadership indefinitely? Nobody knows when. Though I hear from what I have heard, they are likely to issue out a document calling it back to operations. But what that's me, I hear say, I might have not understood that. Now, once I think our students, what they need to hear is that they need to be so keen who you associate with. Because when it is time for campaigns, anybody has been free to come and enter the university premises. And because of even such a little bit of it, like I said, of what happened, there are things that have been within in the composition of these Girudi campaigns, but they have not been there. And we shall want to stick ourselves to Makerere, because once we don't focus where this thing has happened, then other universities like Chambogo, KIU and other UCU are likely to cope up. Colleges will take this up. So we have seen the EC Girud, the EC Guard Brigades. These are people who are major students who are trying to oversee how elections are going on. They are people who are part of the EC who are actually supposed to, I am told, actually they were not even facilitated, that's why it was scrapped off. So this thing has happened because the students who are supposed to actually give insecurity for their own students, they have not been on the ground. I was there personally with him. Why were you there? Trying to be observers as the advocates for the students. Now, looking at that case in point, you read that even when the person was going to speak, the other people were supposed to ensure that this next person speaks is nowhere to to speak actually. The microphone is grabbed there and then. The time the other wing of campaigners are going to enter, I think it was in the backgrounds of Makerere, the other people are being blocked. So you realize that it's because there was no this other guard brigade to actually what? Now, the issue is how actually we should mitigate all these kind of related violences. Okay? You realize that a case in Makerere, in Chambogo, people have also actually been into those acts, but has not gone to the extreme case like in Makerere. I want also to put on record that it is not just in Uganda whereby we have political parties happen in institutions. I mean the influence. We have seen countries like Ghana, like Zimbabwe, but we have also not yet had issues that somebody has been stabbed to death, they have died, and you get. So I think, like I said, when I say the term must be extended, I didn't completely say that actually the issue of ideology is not away. The last time I was here addressing the issues of strikes in institutions, I made myself clear. We can do dialogue. Dialoguing, you are doing the civic education, it is ongoing. So an issue of these political parties now, we have the political party chairpersons, chapters in these institutions. For example, if it is like maybe NRM or DP, the UID now in these institutions, they can always see how they can invite these other people. If you invited a person like Nobati Mao, regardless, you know, he has his ideology, he comes and speaks to people. There are other influential people in this country. You, Robert, you can be invited there and speak to the young people in the universities to try to impact them in their psychosocial well-being. I mean, these things are doable, they are achievable. So I think the issue of ideology and making sure that we have these other platforms for people to be addressed on how they should live actually themselves, especially during the time for electoral campaign. It's very important.
Well, both of you, there was one thing I expected I didn't get. I don't know whether because you're beneficiaries of it, I'm beginning to think, or maybe it doesn't come to your attention. Let's look at commercialization of politics in these institutions. I don't know why someone who would die to advocate for fellow students would spend a lot to get to that position. UNSA, I know, I'm reliably informed, that it's not a walkover.
You are not yet fully informed.
No, it's not a walkover to get leadership in UNSA. It is an investment as well. You know, you people didn't go through something very simple. Brian, I know. This is a very strong politician in the making. So I'm not trading on simple ground. So commercialization, humongous benefits in these leadership positions. You find a guild president who could be having maybe a budget of 100 million to spend or even more. So let's look at the impact of money in these academic institutions. You know, a guild invests much. Sometimes political parties give them a lot of money, well-wishers. The office is also fatty enough. And I want to start with Brian here.
Of course, I'm the Secretary of Finance.
Definitely, I can see.
Be reliably able to answer that. Commercialization is a very big question, and it is, I think, it grows up from the national politics itself. You've seen members of parliament move with bundles of money around the courts. They meet you, give you 10 and 5. In UNSA, it's a big thing as well. You have to have a lot of money to maneuver through. But just for record, I went through unopposed in UNSA. So do you want to say I use a lot of money to go through unopposed?
You were among the lucky few. Or you bribed off those that would contest against you and you come out unopposed.
If they are there, they can come out and say, okay, you bribed me. But for me, as I'm here, I'm telling you, I went through unopposed for free. I don't know whether he went through as well, but if he went through competition, that means he knows how he went through. So the issue of money and politics cannot be withdrawn, definitely. How will people know you? You'll have to make a poster, which is money. You'll have to dress nicely for people to believe in you, which is money. But the question is luring supporters through paying them. That's the biggest problem. But if one is just trying to use his money to strategically position himself, you know that there's going to reach time when guild campaigns are on, one is saying, let me go pay for TV talk time to be hosted, to see how I push my ideology through media. He's paying a team to say, please, as you're on Twitter, tweet about me. It's, of course, politics is a game of he who is most popular, even sometimes with no ideology, can take it. So me, the question of money and involvement in politics will never be withdrawn from this world, and not this country only. You go to, I was in Kenya, Nairobi with him, I think a week back. You did see flow of money, 1, 2, very big banner that cost so high for candidates, and you're saying, okay, this is a lot of money.
Ruto brought in a machine that must have a car, a vehicle. And I was like, what is this?
People are having, it's even more, they're having big trailers all designed with the candidate. So me, I think what I condemn is seeing someone with bundles saying, vote for Cory, while giving 10,000. That is wrong. It's of course now malpractice, and you're doing that at the last time of the... But if you're using it to buy food for people to eat, to make sure they believe in you because you have no ideology, use it.
Well, according in the interest of time, yes, for you, you're looking at the candidate. I want Philomena to look at the office and the benefits.
Office and the benefits. When we began this conversation, I was clear, and I said today's politics in these institutions of higher learning, they are based on the top-bottom. And I again said they are supposed to actually be bottom to top, and maybe you didn't understand me. And I even brought an issue of seeing these things happening in primary schools. You have seen the posters, that one is on record. Now, like I said, looking at the nomination fees paid by these people, I'm coming to your point. Maybe a Chambogo Guild president to actually be nominated, you should have been able to pay 500,000. You are a student. I don't know what other universities pay in nomination fees, but looking at that amount of money to a young person, a student, I think that is an issue to really address.
You're showing a capacity.
Yeah, now, because the student doesn't have this money, of course, because they are leaning to these political parties, of course, a party will come in to fit in to pay for this money. Of course, and henceforth, following all those other events in the Guild campaign, when it reaches that maybe, like he said, giving money to students to... But again, a student who accepts this money because I want to be voted is also questionable. But because by nature man is hungry and is bad, maybe that's why at the end of the day they get this money. Looking at the university political transition to the national campaign is like he said, I do not want to say, or I don't want to know how he went through to go and oppose it. But looking at the benefits, some of us competed really. And I would want to say that the person who goes through an election by voting, I think should be a strong one because they have interfaced with other exchanging ideas.
Well,
that's what I want to look at.
I'm just enjoying myself here, but that we can have offset. I don't want to see political superiority here. But I'm just going to give each one of you a minute to have your final remarks regarding the topic of the day. And I'll begin with you, Brian.
I think for record, I've gone through and opposing 3 elections consecutively.
The technique you use. Okay, wind up, Brian.
So I have to say thank you to all the students who are viewing us. If you say it's those who would go through and oppose are incompetent, it is you to really rate that out. But thank you for watching. Say no to violence. And I want you to technically take education so seriously. And elections are not a do or die. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Cory. Brian, Philomena, let me have your final remarks as we get offset.
Oh, it's been so beautiful being hosted here, especially to address issues that are affecting our students. What I want to say is that what links us and what gets us together as students is because each of us is young people. We are young people, and therefore what we should look at identity is that we are one. And an issue to do with electoral violence, things to do with the tribalism, issues to do with any kind of divisions, they are not supposed to be within us, the young people. We are only looking at a situation whereby the next time to come, it is us addressing these issues in the parliament. I mean, we are the next people. I mean, we can do this. I mean, it is achievable. I mean, it is important. These things are doing. Thank you so much.
I just want to thank you so much. I've been with, that is Secretary for Finance, UNSA, and that is Brian. Thank you so much for your time. Philomena Simwe, that is the National Affairs Secretary. Thank you also so much for your time. Now, to the youth there that are watching us, whatever you want to change in this country, create that difference so that we can have that change we desire. If you're tired of violence, then be peaceful. Do not be an agent of this at whatever level. So that is the only way we can change. Do good where even evil is, so that you set up precedents. And by the time you get in these leaderships, because you began this, elections will be something very smooth and there will be non-violence. So create that change. It begins with you. Have a lovely day. God bless you.
The Tales of